Hi guys, this is Vitaly with AFT Dispatch and A2C Logistics, and in today's video I wanted to speak with you guys about the most important aspect of trucking, the most frequently missed aspect of trucking. In fact, I'll go as far as to say this is the most important aspect of any business, no matter what you do, and it is knowing your operating costs. I know I continue to harp on this day in, day out, all the time from most of the videos. The truth is, I've come to a point where I feel like I absolutely had to make a video about this, and part of it was because of a conversation I had this afternoon with a wonderful carrier that we work with, who basically said, listen, this is where we're at. I asked him about operating costs to get through it, and he was very, very honest and upfront with me and said, listen, I've gathered data, I've gathered numbers, I just don't think I'm calculating this correctly, and maybe that's the problem. So when people upfront, forthcoming, honest, I get to see their work ethic and I see how hard they try, and I definitely want to step in and be able to help you out. Now what I'm going to show you today is a spreadsheet that I built years and years and years ago, and I wanted to get as close as possible to the operating costs for this carrier, and so certainly thank you to him for the opportunity. You definitely pushed me over the edge to actually get this thing updated, and I think this is going to be quite eye-opening for you guys. I hope this video ends up getting a lot of views, because I think at the end you're going to be able to replicate this, basically get the most important information to be able to really judge what is my break-even cost. Furthermore, you're going to look at fixed and variable costs. So guys, I'm going to switch this over. One thing up front, these numbers are, you got to understand, like when we're going to talk about maintenance, there are things that break frequently. There's PM, there's maintenance, there's repairs. There are things that will happen once in a blue moon where you have a major repair. Take the repair and maintenance costs with a grain of salt. Those will vary. I know I'll get in the comments guys who will say, hey, I just had an in-frame done, cost me 10 grand, 6 grand, 5 grand, whatever. I just replaced all the tires, etc., etc. So there are things that you will have to do, and they will vary. But if we average out, then you'll see how I set this up, that if that you keep setting aside money for maintenance, it's all part of the formula. Here, let's just jump in and I'll show you guys what I'm talking about here. So let's jump in and take a look. So here's what we got. This is a carrier who has a truck payment and a trailer payment. His truck payment was $2,232.59. His trailer rental is $850 per month. Now his truck insurance comes out to be $1,377.24 per month, plus the additional insurance for the trailer at $543.20. I'm just breaking it down for you guys. I've broken down diesel based on loaded and empty miles. I've also accounted for a 6 mile per gallon average for loaded and 7 on unloaded. I've accounted for 10% of total loaded miles to be your unloaded miles, and different expenses on that end. What I've accounted for based on this is only 550 miles a day. Based on these numbers, you would only run for 18 days out of the month. Would have a total of 9,000 loaded miles, and 10% of that would be 900 deadhead miles. He would gross $14,275 at 9,000 miles at a rate of $1.59, which is his break-even cost at $14,275. At that in a month of working, all the expenses in, he would basically profit or gross, or I guess in this case it would be kind of a net profit before taxes of just over $5 for the month. So we're pretty much at zero. This carrier is going to cost him $1.59 to operate his truck, and we are not in this case including driver costs. So I have these broken down. I'm not going to get into it in this video because what I have here is I have I have trip calculators, employee costs. I have these breakdowns on new trucks, old trucks based on W-2 income or 1099. I've done the matching. I've done the employer contributions. I've done the Social Security and unemployment and all this other stuff. I've broken it down to, as you can see, the yellows are going to be your variable costs, and then the greens are going to be your fixed costs. I've broken that down. You can do the same thing, and you absolutely should. So what you're going to see out here on the left side is going to be your daily or trip. If you're basing it on trip or total mileage, this is what he made on a day-to-day basis. Based on 18 days, he made 28 cents a day, and here he's making 17 cents a day. We're breaking it down over 30 days. Okay. Now, again, I'm not going to get into this. So he's got the payments. I've taken out again the driver net pay. As you can see, this was a very old spreadsheet because I have 45 cents loaded mile and 20 cents empty. I've taken that out because he is an owner operator and he can actually calculate his. It would be more important for him to look at his gross profit margin and then calculated his other expenses. So we've taken out total workers' compensation. We've got about 3 cents a mile on IFTA based on those miles. Now, this is a very crude average that I have in the formula here. That's about what it's going to come down to. It may vary. Again, total employer match is taken out. Your $22.90 is $550 for a single truck. That comes out to be about $46 a month. I'm not going to make any money on it. Basically, this is, you insert your pay or whatnot. Factoring cost for him at that gross is about $400 at 2.75% factoring. I included his phone service for his cell phone and some additional external services that he had. Broke that down, comes out to be $112.50 a month. His permit costs about $50 a month, plus or minus. His maintenance account is going to be $1,500 per month, in addition to, basically what we're going to show you here in addition to that. Now, one savings that he's going to get is by using dispatch. He's not going to have to cover in a truck stop. He's not going to have to go with DAT or DATs. He's not going to have to deal with certain other expenses. Now, in this case, I had an IFTA calculation, which I have included here for his external services, where he actually pays about $50 every quarter when he does his fuel taxes. So that came out to be a very small number. I added, some miscellaneous fees at about 1%, and we have his empty at $533.57 on fuel when he's running empty for deadhead. Here's his IRP cost, about $166 a month, which was his taxes, about $2,000 over 12 months, is about $165, and that's where you can see his expenses. Now, 9,000 miles, it's going to burn about $1,500 gallons in fuel. I averaged it out at $4.15, which is $4.15 per gallon in today's market as of the recording. I checked this with EIA, I believe it's called. Let me see. Yeah, the EIA gave us that number. 6 miles a gallon loaded. His fuel cost per 1,000 miles is incorrect. So, like I said, so he's running about 69 cents is just his fuel cost, right? Monthly diesel $6,225, which we can also see in our expense sheet, and we're going to have unpaid miles of 10% that I mentioned, and his diesel is right there, the same as his fuel cost. So it's the same exact thing. What we're looking at here on the maintenance, like I said, take it for a grain with a grain of thought. I can't talk today. Assault. I'm trying to make this video short, so I'm talking fast. So I do apologize for that. And again, if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. We'll get to those. Tires, about $6,400 a year to replace everything. Your PM and repairs, I added in about $11,600, averaging out at $1,500 a month, and that would give us your $18,000 a year. Now, plus or minus, some guys will say about $24,000 a year in the total. Some will say more, some less. But keep in mind that outside of PM and basic maintenance and basic small repairs, that money that's in there, that $1,500, maybe one month you spend all $1,500, maybe another month you don't spend anything, maybe some months you spend half of it. So it's going to remain. Do not pull at that money, but it's going to be there, and you're going to build up some reserves. And at the end of the month, at the end of the year, that money can get accounted for as part of your income, but you won't know what that is until the year's up, or you kind of look at some prorated sheets and do some pro forma in order to understand where you're actually heading. And then that's actually going to help you a lot, because you're going to be able to average out your expenses and always have money available in an account that, in case, God forbid, something happens, you can get it covered, even if it's an expensive repair. Now, I do have a couple of things I'm going to show you here. So I do have W-2 driver information. I've got, driver, total gross, what their Social Security, Medicare, federal withholding, Utah taxes, total withholding. Then you have employer contributions, employee withholdings. I have the same thing with a new truck, with a W-2. I have a new truck 1099. I have different trucks. I even did hydrogen trucks and looked at those. For our purposes, we're only going to look at this. Okay, at $1.59, if he runs for 9,000 miles, and it gets about $900 miles in deadhead, so $9,900 per month, miles per month at $14,275 gross gives him a $1.59 average, bringing him to about $0. So it means that he covered all expenses, didn't get paid anything but the $5.08 if all math works out correctly. Now let's look at it like this. I know that my guys will be able to keep him at $2 on average. I know that my guys will actually get him above $2, and sometimes considerably more than that. So let's actually jump in and do this, okay? Let's say he runs 10,000 miles, okay? And we average him out $2 a mile. right? $2 a mile right there. What do we have? This carrier will walk away with $4,753 after having made his truck and trailer payments, his rentals, his insurance, his diesel of $6,900, his IFTA will get it covered for that time or set aside that money for that month. He'll have his, those are fixed costs. So he'll have $6,878 in fixed costs. He'll have an additional $8,368 in variable costs. So his fuel, all the other variable costs based on mileage will all add up to $15,246.45 based on all total expenses. He will have set aside $1,500 for his maintenance, for his tires, for his maintenance, for his repairs at $2 in market with his current expenses at $2. He's going to still walk away with $4,753.55 per month. That will mean that he will operate for 20 days of driving days. He will make $237 per day in basically net profit before taxes, okay? But after expenses that are here, fixed and variable. And if you choose to break it down on a 30-day cycle, what am I making per day? Whether I run or don't run, based on these figures, you're looking at $158 per day. So nothing spectacular, but here's the thing. Let's say we bump this up to $21,500. That should get us to $215 a mile. Suddenly, that jumps up to a little over $300 a day, $6,200 per month. Spectacular numbers for this market, absolutely. For this market, absolutely. I mean, we have guys. I mean, let me see some of the spreadsheets that I've had. I've had guys running at like 236, $3. I mean, I don't think we're going to be able to do 10,000 miles at a much higher rate than that, like $3 or $3.50 a mile, something like that. But if we keep the miles there and we say, let's say he's averaging, I don't know, let's say $24,000, that's $240 a mile. Now we're looking at $8,600 after he's done that. He's out there driving. Now he's supposed to pay himself a fair wage, and that's something that he can do. Now I've taken out those numbers. That's why we don't have driver gross, we don't have driver net, which I had calculated for drivers, etc., etc. And we can get into those numbers for those of you who have drivers. And like I said, we can look at, let's look at it here. Let's look at a W-2, right? Here, employee costs. Look at it here, right here. These are not the correct numbers, right? These are not the correct numbers, but we are basing it on incorrect information. But the bottom line is that you can calculate for all expenses. You can break it down to what it would cost you on a W-2 or how it would be on a 1099. So there are different ways of calculating this, and you can actually go through this and figure out what are my operating costs, so that before you call it quits, before you make changes, before you decide that I'm not making money, so that you know where you're at, you know where your break-even cost is, and you know what is possible based on past performance and where the market is going. The other thing I want to talk about is the fact that you need to listen to your dispatchers. Time in, time out, we see this consistently. We have guys out there who have a totally hands-off approach, allowing the dispatcher the trust and respect to be able to do the best for current market conditions, for the locations, for that driver, and the numbers every time are considerably higher than when the driver starts to meddle or the company owner starts to meddle with those, because you guys miss the really good deals while the broker's on hold. The broker is getting a ton of calls because other people know when a good load is a good load, and your dispatcher knows as well. That's why he came to you with that load. But the bottom line, guys, is you need to be able to know your expenses, your costs. How much does it cost me to run my truck? If I run 10,000 miles, that puts another extra 1,000 miles of unpaid. What am I going to pay? Here, let's go back. Let's jump in real quick one more time. How much diesel? $69.17 at $4.15 a gallon, running 6 miles to the gallon. Say 1,000 miles, 10% of that is deadhead. So he's going to spend at 7 miles a gallon, $600 in additional fuel, and that's all accounted here. All accounted, okay? So daily cost and total cost. So he's costing him at that rate, $655 a day to operate that truck before we account for any of his own pay or driver pay. We can revisit the spreadsheet and do this. I can plug in the numbers for those of you who have drivers, and we can come down straight to what am I paying? What is the difference if I pay him as a contractor, or what if I have a W-2? What are the different tax rates, all these things. And finally, for sticking around, what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to turn this video or this spreadsheet into something usable. I want to be able to make it into plug and play because I know that this is super, super detailed. If you guys saw some of the formulas in this, it took me forever. It took me a very, very long time to be able to actually get it down to be accurate. And then I didn't use it for many, many years because I got my information, I figured it out. But it's been bothering me because I continue to run into these issues. We have people that I talk to who absolutely have zero idea of where they stand, what their operating costs. You can't run any business that way, guys. You have to know your operating costs. Otherwise, how do you know if you're doing well or not? This carrier in particular was this close to calling it quits. I had to jump in because he was honest. He was upfront. He's a very ethical person. He's a very hardworking person. He's got an excellent dispatcher, and we want to see you guys succeed. So I'll do whatever I got to do. Can you still make 24K in a market running hard? Yes, you can. It's going to take quite a bit. We have guys that do that. They hit those numbers currently, and they're not running, 4 weeks out of the month, just killing themselves. None of that. We have that. If you need help, and most of you guys need help, I'll be honest, most of you guys are leaving a ton of money on the table. You've heard me say this before, but unfortunately, you guys are leaving a ton of money on the table. And when you have a whole group of carriers and owner operators who don't know how to negotiate, don't understand the market dynamics, don't understand how to move around, how to actually price things out, how to do this the most efficient way possible, you're gonna leave money on the table. And I can go ahead and take out our fees and all this other stuff. I promise you, he's still going to be very, very profitable. Won't have to do any of the booking, won't have to do any of the packets. We'll run them, we'll take care of everything in-house. He's gonna have a lot of this task, a lot of this work off of his shoulders, and he's going to be able to operate his business in a much more efficient, much more profitable manner. And most importantly, he's gonna know where he's at. Okay, so we know he's $1.59. So at $1.59, let me open up my calculator. Let's say, so 81 cents times that by, let's just say 5,000 miles just for, so even at 5,000 miles at that profit margin is over $4,000. And I understand that's not a lot of money, but in this case, we see twice that. We see it at $8,600. This carrier could be walking away with that. Let's be more realistic. Okay, let's say $2, right? So $20,000 as we've shown before. $2 a mile. He's still walking away with $4,753 in gross income after expenses before taxes. So guys, questions, comments, concerns, please leave them in the comment section below. Make sure to smash the like button. If this is the kind of content that you want, definitely subscribe to the channel. I know no one's really doing this online. There's no one's actually providing this information. People are talking, they're showing you all these graphs and all these things. Oftentimes I've actually watched some of these videos where they show you information to snap, but they're actually not calling things for what they are. They're misreading, misrepresenting data. And unfortunately, a lot of you guys are listening to these people. But what you need to do is get back down to basics. How can you know if you're doing well or if you're not doing well, or where your improvement needs to be if you don't know your numbers? You need to go through this. Hey, am I overpaying for my truck? Is my financing too much? Is my trailer too expensive? Is my factoring too expensive? Is the fuel card not getting me the discounts that I could be getting? Am I running too many deadhead miles? Is my fuel economy too low? There's so many different variables in here that you guys could change. Can you imagine if you changed your fuel cost from 69 cents a mile down to, like, let's say 50 cents a mile? Now, there's multiple ways of doing that. You can buy fuel cheaper. You could get, discounts on it. You could go, get all sorts of, better, like I've had some customers that I've talked to who installed certain equipment that have improved their fuel efficiency. Now, I haven't done that, and I don't know if that's going to cause long-term damage in the future. I've also spoken with some folks who are, for the last several years, developed different types of oils and different types of, materials with different viscosity that have actually helped improve fuel economy and longevity of those engines. Again, haven't tried it, but there's lots of different ways. And in this business, you have so many areas that you could jump into and optimize. Just like it's not just the rate that you can get up or lower your mileage. Guys, there are so many different ways, and I just want you guys all to succeed. This is a very difficult time in the market for you, for everybody, for you and I, for everybody in the industry. It's very, very difficult. But those of you that I can reach, that I can hopefully motivate you to do this, to get your numbers down. And the best way to do that is just as I recommended for other guys that I've talked to on the phone. Very, very simple. Take a notepad like this. What are the expenses that come to mind? Hang out with that notepad for a day. Anything, whether you feel like it's qualified or not, a qualified expense or not, bust it out, write it down. Later, come back around to it, see if there's anything else you can add to it. Then take out the stuff that really isn't an expense. Quit putting your personal expenses. I don't care if your car is $700 a month. I don't care if your mortgage is $2,500 a month, or your rent, or whatever additional expenses. Those are personal. Do not mix those. Figure out your business, and then when you're left with that, $4,500, $8,500, $10,000, do whatever you want with that that money. That's your income. That's what you're going to be dealing with. You want to set yourself up as a W-2 and you want to account for all those things and take that out as driver pay, or do you want to add that as an actual driver that's driving? Be my guest, but do not mix personal expenses with business expenses. Much love, guys. If you have any questions whatsoever, leave them in the comment section below. I hope I don't receive too much hate on this, because I know that whole maintenance aspect of things is going to really throw a lot of people off, especially those of you feeling the pinch from a recent major repair. I do, feel for you. I do understand. Believe me, we have repairs as well. I've had engine blows, blow ups and things like that. I've had to, liquidate equipment. I've been through all of that, and I understand. But luckily, you don't have to go through that every single year. So things will average out. Guys, even in today's market, you have the right dispatcher, you have the right opportunity, you can make money. Quit making excuses, quit resting on your laurels. If you're not making the kind of money that we have in our weekly videos, and if you watch those videos and you feel like you can run like that, go, hey, that's fine. I can run those kind of miles. I'm able to run in those areas. I can do that. Absolutely. They're making that kind of money. If you feel that way, then get in touch with us. Call or text 801-448-6363. You can also get in touch with us or get more information on our website at aftdispatch.com. We have a fantastic blog with a ton of information there. We have, a lot of information, all our videos on our channel. There's so much that we provide for you guys, and we hope that you will take advantage of this. And again, if you have other ideas, other questions, anything that you'd like to would like for me to make videos on and maybe explore in greater detail, please let me know in the comment section below. I know I don't always respond, but I definitely read your comments, and I certainly appreciate you guys. Once again, guys, thank you for stopping by. Please smash the like button. Get on our email list at aftdispatch.com. Just select if you're a carrier or an owner operator. We'll get in touch with you if you have any questions. Get those questions answered. And, until next week, guys, stay healthy, be wealthy, as I always say. Take care. Bye-bye.